Hello everyone, today I'm in Amsterdam. I'm finally back into my home country for only a couple of days, and I only have 5 hours left here in Amsterdam before I have to go back to my family somewhere in the southern part of the Netherlands. But while I'm here anyway, let me give you some tips what you can visit, except like of course you can visit the standard tourist and stuff, but there are some other things to see in Amsterdam as well, so we'll cover some of those as well in the couple of hours that I have left, and I'll give you some tips what you can eat as well. So let's move on to the first place. First tip what I'll have in any city anyway, what you should do before you start exploring in the first place is to just get lost. Walk around the hundreds of canals that are in Amsterdam and just get lost and enjoy the beauty of the city. And then we're immediately passing by the second tip, where you can see over there, and that is the Skinny Bridge, better known as the Magere Brug in Dutch. And well, if you take a tourist boat, they will tell you a story about two sisters who were living, one like very wealthy sisters, and one was living on one side, one was living on the other side, and they wanted to visit each other, so that's why they built this bridge. That story is a fairy tale and false. However, the real story is that the original plan was to build a 9-arch bridge which would cross from one side of the canal to another side, and also bigger vehicles could pass from one side to the other side. However, this plan was built in the time that the Dutch was very wealthy, in like the golden age. However, when they finally had to construct this bridge in 1627, the budget and the earnings of the Netherlands wasn't as much anymore as it was before. So they didn't have enough budget. So that's the reason why they had to make a more stripped down version, and the bridge is much smaller as the original plan. While you're walking through Amsterdam, make sure you also pay close attention to the houses over there. The houses next to the canal are a little bit built skew, and the reason for this is because in the past you pay a lot of money for the ground underneath the house, and if you pay it a little bit skew, it means you have more ground, but you don't pay for the ground in the air. So basically that extra meter where you have on the top is for free. Another good third spot to visit is, as I always mention, is to visit local markets, and the Vondelpark is one of the biggest ones in Amsterdam to visit. It's a good place to see a mixture of what tourism did to the local place, but also what multicultural influence it had on the Amsterdam society. There are a lot of different kind of shops, which is a mixture of tourist shops, local Dutch shops, and also some Moroccan, Turkish influences as well, which you can see back in the market. Of course you can visit Museum Square as well. However, in such a short time period that I don't have time to enter the museums or the concert building, which is on the one end of the park behind me, or at the Rijksmuseum, which is on the other end. And besides that, you have the Vincent van Gogh Museum, Modern Art Museum and the City Museum. However, I don't have time to visit those buildings. It's mainly because you cross this place as well if you walk from the Vondelpark to the Vondelpark. And Vondelpark is a very nice place to hang out as well. And there's one little secret which I maybe can show you if I'm lucky enough. tip is next to the Vondelpark you also have the PC Hoofdstraat, which is the big spending shopping street where you can find all the luxury shopping brands. Sometimes if you're lucky enough you will find the famous people in the Netherlands here as well shopping around. This was the main reason why I wanted to show you the Vondelpark. Behind me is a bunker hidden in the park. The bunker was originally used for the Second World War, where people fled during the time that the Germans would bombard the city. However, nowadays they changed this bunker into a performance area, and if you're lucky enough you can catch some performances. However, it's 2:30 during the day and it's a little bit too early for any performances, so it's closed at the moment. That's a pity. So while I'm here anyway, let's show you around a little bit in the park. Make sure you also pass by Max Eeuwenplein, which is a square in the city where some people are playing chess. And besides that, there you can play a match chess against them. It's also quite close to Het Leidseplein, which is one of my favorite squares in the city, where you can sit down in the sun, enjoy the view, enjoy the people around you passing by. But most importantly, there's a street full with restaurants, and you'll make sure you'll always find a good place to find a nice dinner at the end of your day. And while we are walking to our last stop, I think it's time to have a small food break and tell you what you need to eat in Amsterdam, and skip all the churros and waffles and all those kind of non-Dutch related stuff. But eat a stroopwafel, which is a waffle with syrup in between, or if you really are into an adventure, eat herring, which is very good, especially the new herring, which is a raw fish with some raw onion on top, and tastes very good. Another adventure could be some kind of licorice, which you can find just basically in every supermarket as well. And the last one is a little bit cheating because it's not really Dutch, and especially not the two places where I advise you where you should eat it. But what you should eat is fries as well, and it's rated, like if you go to those shops, it's rated the best Dutch fries in the Netherlands and all those kind of well, rubbish, because basically the fries I will recommend you to eat is Flemish, which is Belgium, and you can eat it or near Central Station, which is Mannekepis, or a little bit more in the central place of Amsterdam, and that place is called Friethuis Flemings, and both places have really good fries, so make sure you check those out. My favorite one is the curry one with mayonnaise and raw onion on top. And then the last thing what I would advise you to do in the central part, there is a cafe called Blue, and this one is in a shopping mall and it takes you to the third floor, and because of the houses in Amsterdam aren't that big, that means from there you have a very nice view over the city, and that means you can have a nice drink and in the meantime have a view around the city. But let's head on to our last hidden thing what you have to do in Amsterdam. What I have for you is if you cross Amsterdam Central Station, don't head into the city center, but go to the other side, and from there you can take, which the Amsterdammers would call Het Pontje, which is basically a ferry, and this ferry is free to use, and you can take this ferry to the other side of Het IJ, that's the river which is going through Amsterdam, and well, one, you will have a very nice view over the river. And the other thing, if you are into gaming, at the opposite of Het IJ, at the NDSM place, there is an arcade called Blast Galaxy. And this arcade is awesome. If you are into video games, this is maybe one of the best arcades in the world. I can't really explain how much we enjoyed our time here yesterday. You really have to experience this place if you're into gaming. It's really, 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 really good. So make sure you take also the ferry to the other side of the eye, which is free to do. You can just take it and just enjoy the view. And that's it for Amsterdam, I'm afraid. That were the tips and hidden places that I could offer you from Amsterdam for the only short time, the 5 hours that I had to record this in Amsterdam itself. I'm heading back home now, and I could continue on about Amsterdam. If I would start about all the museums, you have like a museum with real human bodies, a sex museum, a prostitute museum, and besides the museums you also have of course all the little neighborhoods like the Jordaan I didn't even cover today, which you can visit, or the Royal Palace on the main square in Amsterdam, which isn't even, well, historically speaking, a royal palace, but a town hall. And then of course you can explore the city by bike, and there are so many things to do in Amsterdam. I could continue on for ages. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to cover this. So if you like this type of content, as always, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I hope to see you next time, again, in this video or somewhere else watching in the world where you are. And if you have some tips for me for Berlin, because I'm going there in a couple of weeks' time, please put them in the comments below, and hopefully see you next time.